Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. If you've ever looked around your home and felt like it's becoming harder to move, harder to clean, or even harder to enjoy, then this video is for you. As we get older, our home should be a place of comfort, peace, and ease, not a source of stress. But sometimes, without even realizing it, clutter starts creeping in. It fills up our rooms, our closets, and even our minds, making everyday life more difficult than it needs to be. Well, in today's video, we're going to talk about 15 clear signs that it's time to simplify your space as a senior. And trust me, these aren't just the usual get rid of stuff you don't need tips. We're diving deep into the emotional, practical, and even health-related reasons why decluttering can truly change your life for the better. And don't worry, you're not alone in this journey. Many people have faced these exact same challenges, and by the end of this video, you'll not only know the signs to watch for, but you'll also feel inspired to take that first step toward a lighter, more joyful home. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's dive in. Sign number 1. Difficulty navigating your living space. Think back to a time when moving through your home felt effortless, when every room had a clear purpose, and you never had to hesitate before taking a step. But if now, each trip to the kitchen or bedroom requires careful maneuvering around stacks of magazines, piles of clothing, or furniture squeezed into every available space, it might be time to rethink how much you truly need. Take Margaret, for example. She lived in the same home for over 40 years, gradually accumulating belongings. It wasn't until her daughter visited and noticed how Margaret had to sidestep around stacks of books and baskets of crafting supplies in the hallway that she realized how much space had slowly disappeared. One day, she tripped over a pile of old newspapers near the front door. Fortunately, she wasn't seriously hurt, but it was a wake-up call. Her once spacious home had turned into an obstacle course for seniors. Cluttered walkways can be dangerous. Falls are one of the leading causes of injury in older adults, and having clear, open pathways can significantly reduce the risk. Decluttering doesn't mean stripping your home of everything you love. It simply means making your space work for you, not against you. Sign number 2. Misplacing essential items frequently. Have you ever spent what felt like hours searching for your reading glasses, only to find them buried under a pile of mail? Or maybe your keys seem to vanish daily, and your medications often go missing just when you need them. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Meet Tom Batiwe. Tom was always an organized man, but over the years, he kept accumulating more things. Mails from years ago, old receipts, and even decorative knickknacks from vacations long past. His home wasn't exactly messy, but it was full. One day, he couldn't find his hearing aid. He searched everywhere, under the couch, in the kitchen drawers, and even in the bathroom. It took him 2 days to find it, hidden in a bowl of miscellaneous items on the dining table. Losing important items is frustrating, but for seniors, it can be more than that. It can be dangerous. Misplaced medication can mean missing a critical dose, and lost car keys can delay an important appointment. When you have too many things competing for space, the essentials get buried. Decluttering doesn't just create space, it restores peace of mind. Sign number 3. Accumulation of expired goods. If you open your pantry or medicine cabinet right now, how many expired items would you find? If the answer is I don't know, you might be holding on to more than you realize. Expired goods aren't just useless. They can be hazardous to your health. Let's talk about Betty. Betty loved to stock up on groceries when they were on sale. She always said, "You never know when you'll need an extra can of soup." But the problem was, she didn't always keep track of what she already had. One day, while cleaning out her pantry with her granddaughter, they discovered cans of food that had expired 5 years ago. Some had even started to bulge, a sign of dangerous bacterial growth. The same applies to medications. Another senior, Harold, kept all his prescriptions in a drawer by his bed. When his daughter came over to help organize, she found painkillers that had expired over a decade ago. Taking expired medication can be ineffective at best and harmful at worst. If your pantry, fridge, or medicine cabinet is overflowing with items you don't even realize you have, it's a sign that things need to change. Decluttering these spaces means you'll always know what's fresh, what's safe, and what you actually need. Sign number 4. Emotional attachment to unused items. This one is tough. It's not just about stuff. It's about memories, the life you've built, and the people and moments that these objects remind you of. But holding on to everything from the past can make it difficult to live fully in the present. Consider Alice. She had a collection of clothes spanning decades, from dresses she wore in her 40s to jackets she swore she might fit into again one day. Some still had tags on them. Every time she thought about donating them, she'd say, "But what if I need them?" The truth was, she hadn't worn most of them in years, and her closet was overflowing to the point where finding her everyday clothes became a chore. Then there's Frank. Frank had an entire attic filled with old holiday decorations, VHS tapes, and broken appliances that he always meant to fix. When his son suggested clearing some space, Frank resisted. "These things remind me of good times," he said. But when he finally agreed to sort through his belongings, he realized that holding on to everything wasn't making him happier. It was just taking up space. Letting go of sentimental items doesn't mean letting go of the memories. It means making room for the life you have now. Take photos of cherished items, keep a few key pieces that truly bring you joy, and pass the rest on to someone who can use them. You'll feel lighter, freer, and more in control of your home and your future. Sign number 5. Difficulty discarding items. You know the feeling. You pick up an old trinket, a piece of clothing, or a stack of papers and think, "I might need this someday." Or maybe it's a gift from someone special, and parting with it feels like throwing away a memory. But when everything feels too valuable to let go of, the clutter builds up until your home becomes a museum of the past, rather than a comfortable space for today. Take Nancy, for example. She had boxes upon boxes of birthday cards, holiday greetings, and thank you notes from over the years. Every time she tried to throw them out, she hesitated. What if I want to read these again one day? The reality was, she never did. The cards sat in the back of a closet, untouched for decades. It wasn't until her grandson helped her sort through them that she realized she could keep a few meaningful ones and let go of the rest. Then there's Robert, who kept old electronics just in case he needed them. In his basement, there were 3 broken radios, an ancient VHS player, and a tangle of cords that belonged to who knows what. The idea of tossing them made him anxious. What if they could be fixed? But the truth was, he hadn't used them in years, and they were taking up valuable space. Letting go is hard, especially when items carry sentimental value or the promise of future usefulness. But a home filled with things you might need one day often becomes a home where you can't find what you actually need today. Decluttering isn't about getting rid of everything. It's about making space for what truly matters. Sign number 6. Rooms serving multiple purposes. Your guest room is no longer a guest room. Your dining table hasn't seen a proper meal in months because it's buried under paperwork, unfinished projects, or laundry. Sound familiar? When spaces in your home start serving as storage areas rather than functional rooms, it's a clear sign that clutter is taking over. Take Elaine and Jim. When their daughter moved out, her old bedroom slowly turned into a dumping ground for seasonal decorations, old clothes, and extra furniture. They always meant to organize it, but years passed, and the room became unusable. One day, when their granddaughter visited and needed a place to sleep, they realized there was nowhere to put her. The space that once held laughter and life had become a forgotten storage unit. Or consider George, who loved woodworking but never had a proper workshop. His dining table became his workbench, covered in tools and half-finished projects. He told himself he'd clean it up when he was done, but the mess just kept growing. Eventually, he and his wife stopped eating at the table altogether. If a room in your home isn't serving its original purpose, it might be time to declutter. Reclaim your spaces and give yourself the freedom to enjoy each room the way it was meant to be used, whether for sleeping, dining, or relaxing. Sign number 7. Avoiding social gatherings due to clutter. Have you ever avoided inviting friends or family over because you were embarrassed about the state of your home? Maybe you make excuses like, "Oh, the house is a mess right now," or "Let's meet somewhere else instead." If clutter is keeping you from enjoying the company of loved ones, that's a serious sign. It's time to make a change. Take Martha. She used to love hosting tea with her friends, but as her home filled up with boxes, papers, and miscellaneous items, she stopped inviting people over. She worried about what they'd think. The clutter didn't just take over her space. It started taking over her social life. It wasn't until her daughter gently encouraged her to declutter that she realized how much she missed having people over. After clearing out just one room, she felt comfortable enough to host again, and it made her feel like herself again. Or think about Bill. He used to have poker nights with his buddies every month, but as his living room became overcrowded with old magazines, furniture, and unopened packages, there was no space to sit, let alone play cards. He stopped inviting people over, and over time, the invitations he once received started to fade. Clutter shouldn't keep you from enjoying life and spending time with those you love. A home should be a place of warmth, laughter, and connection, not a source of shame. If clutter is keeping you from opening your doors, it's time to take action. Sign number 8. Clutter affecting your shopping habits. Sometimes, clutter doesn't just accumulate, it keeps growing. If you're constantly buying new items even when you already have similar things at home, it may be a sign that clutter is controlling your spending habits. Take Linda. She loved a good bargain. Whenever she saw a sale, she couldn't resist picking up extra kitchen gadgets, decorative knickknacks, or clothes she thought she might wear someday. The problem? Her closets were already full, and her kitchen drawers were overflowing. She often bought duplicates because she didn't realize that she already had what she needed buried under piles of other things. Then there's Henry, who ordered packages online every week. Many of them sat unopened because he either forgot about them or lost interest before even using them. His wife started to worry, not just about the clutter, but about their dwindling savings. When they finally went through their finances, they realized how much money had been spent on things they didn't actually need. Excessive shopping isn't always about need. It's often about habit or the temporary joy of getting something new. But when it leads to clutter and financial strain, it's worth reevaluating. Cluttering your home can also declutter your spending habits. When you see what you already own, you're less likely to buy more of the same. And when your home feels open and spacious, you'll find that you don't need more things to feel fulfilled. You just need space to breathe. Sign number 9. Unused spaces becoming storage units. You might have a spare bedroom, a basement, or even just a cozy reading nook that once had a purpose, but now it's become a storage unit. Boxes are stacked to the ceiling. Furniture is buried under piles of old clothes, and what was once a functional space now just holds things you might need someday. Take Mary and John, for example. When their children moved out, they planned to turn one of the bedrooms into a hobby space. Mary would have a craft corner, and John would finally have a small home office. But over time, the room was filled with storage bins, holiday decorations, and outdated electronics. It became a place where they put things for now, but for now turned into forever. When their grandson came to visit and needed a place to sleep, they had to scramble to clear a small space for him. Or think about Sam. He had a beautiful sunroom, perfect for sipping coffee and enjoying the morning light, but little by little, it became a dumping ground for miscellaneous items. Old books, broken chairs, or seasonal clothes that didn't fit in the closet. One day, he realized he hadn't sat in that room for years. If you have a room or space that has lost its original purpose because of clutter, ask yourself, What do I want this space to be? A peaceful guest room? A reading retreat? A place for family gatherings? Decluttering isn't just about getting rid of things. It's about reclaiming the spaces that bring you joy. Sign number 10. Feeling overwhelmed by the weight of your belongings. Have you ever looked around your home and felt overwhelmed by the sheer weight of your belongings? Maybe it's a nagging feeling of stress, guilt over the things you never use, or anxiety about where to even begin. Clutter doesn't just take up space. It takes up mental energy. Let's talk about Janet. She inherited a collection of fine china from her mother, but she never used it. The delicate plates and cups were stacked in boxes, gathering dust in a closet. Every time she saw them, she felt guilty. She didn't want to get rid of them, but she also felt bad that they were just sitting there. It was a constant emotional tug-of-war. Keep them and feel guilt, or get rid of them and feel regret. Then there's George. He had a garage full of tools and home improvement supplies from his younger years when he loved fixing things. But now, with arthritis in his hands, he couldn't use them anymore. Seeing them every day was a painful reminder of what he used to do, and he avoided going into the garage altogether. Clutter isn't just physical. It's emotional. The objects in our homes carry memories, but they shouldn't bring us distress. One way to ease this burden is to find meaningful ways to let go. Janet decided to give her mother's china to her granddaughter, who promised to use it on special occasions. George donated some of his tools to a local community workshop, knowing they would be put to good use. If your possessions are causing you stress rather than joy, it's time to reassess what truly belongs in your home. Sign number 11. Clutter creating safety hazards. A cluttered home isn't just inconvenient. It can be downright dangerous for seniors. The risks of falls, fire hazards, and hidden mold or dust buildup increase when clutter takes over. Take Evelyn. She had always loved decorating, but over time, her home was filled with an overwhelming number of rugs, small tables, and decorative items. One evening, while walking to the bathroom, she tripped over a pile of magazines that had been left on the floor. She was lucky to only suffer a few bruises, but the scare was enough for her to realize she needed to clear out the obstacles in her home. Or consider Roger. His home was packed with newspapers, old cardboard boxes, and furniture that hadn't been moved in decades. When his daughter visited, she noticed an electrical cord running under a stack of papers and realized it was a fire hazard. With so many flammable materials around, one small spark could have led to a disaster. Then there's the issue of dust, mold, and pests. Anna, a widow living alone, kept piles of old linens and clothes in her basement. She rarely went down there, but when she finally did, she discovered mice had made a home in the fabric, and the air smelled musty from mold. If clutter is making your home unsafe, it's time to take action. Start with the most hazardous areas first. Clear pathways, reduce fire risks, and make sure your home is a place where you can move around safely and breathe easily. Your well-being is more important than stuff. Sign number 12. Unfinished projects piling up. We all start things with the best of intentions. A knitting project, a half-painted canvas, or a DIY home improvement idea. But when unfinished projects pile up, they can leave you feeling overwhelmed rather than inspired. Meet Carol. She had always been crafty, and over the years, she accumulated a collection of unfinished quilts, cross-stitch projects, and scrapbooks. Every time she looked at them, she felt guilty. She told herself she should finish them, but instead she kept starting new projects. Eventually, she had more unfinished projects than she could ever complete. Then there's Bill. He had a garage full of woodworking projects, half-built shelves, a rocking chair missing a leg, and a collection of wood pieces he swore he'd turn into something one day. But as his energy levels declined, he found it harder to keep up. Looking at the unfinished projects reminded him of what he hadn't done, rather than what he had accomplished. Unfinished projects take up not just physical space, but mental space as well. Instead of feeling energized by them, they become sources of stress and guilt. The solution? Be honest with yourself. If a project no longer excites you, it's okay to let it go. Donate materials to someone who will use them, or finish just one meaningful project rather than trying to tackle them all. When you clear out the half-done projects that no longer serve you, you free yourself from the weight of unfinished commitments, and that in itself is a form of peace. Sign number 13. Difficulty cleaning and maintaining the home. Keeping a home clean should be manageable, but when clutter takes over, even simple tasks like dusting, vacuuming, or wiping down surfaces become overwhelming. If you find yourself avoiding cleaning because there's too much stuff in the way, that's a clear sign it's time to declutter. Take Margaret. She prided herself on having a tidy home, but over the years, her possessions accumulated. Knickknacks on every table, stacks of old magazines by the couch, and clothes piled on chairs. She found herself dreading housework because she had to move things just to clean underneath them. What used to be a quick dusting now took twice as long. The more she postponed cleaning, the more overwhelming it became. Or consider Tom, who had a large collection of books, newspapers, and sentimental items that filled nearly every room. He used to vacuum regularly, but now maneuvering around all the piles made it nearly impossible. One day, his daughter noticed dust and cobwebs collecting in corners and suggested he start decluttering. At first, Tom resisted, but when he finally cleared a few areas, he realized how much easier it was to clean and how much fresher his home felt. A home that's too difficult to clean isn't just frustrating, it can become unhealthy. Dust, mold, and allergens thrive in cluttered spaces, affecting air quality and aggravating respiratory issues. If maintaining your home has become exhausting, decluttering might be the simplest way to lighten your load. Sign number 14. Emotional overwhelm. When considering decluttering, you might recognize that clutter is a problem, but every time you think about tackling it, you feel exhausted before even starting. The sheer volume of things, the memories attached to them, and the decisions required can make decluttering feel emotionally draining. Take Susan, for instance. She knew she needed to declutter, but every time she opened a closet, she felt paralyzed. Where do I even start? What if I get rid of something I regret? What if it's too much work? The thought of sorting through years of belongings felt so overwhelming that she kept putting it off. Then there's Jack. He had an attic full of things he hadn't touched in decades. Old clothes, broken appliances, and gifts he never used. His children encouraged him to downsize, but every time he thought about it, he felt a deep emotional resistance. Each item reminds me of a different time in my life. How can I let that go? Feeling overwhelmed is normal, but the key is to start small. Instead of tackling the entire house, start with one drawer, one shelf, or one box. Enlist the help of a friend or family member if it feels too big to handle alone. And remind yourself you're not erasing memories. You're making space for a life that feels lighter and more manageable. Decluttering doesn't have to be an all-or-nothing process. Small steps lead to big changes. The important thing is to start. Sign number 15. Lack of enjoyment in your living space. Your home should be a sanctuary, a place where you feel comfortable, at peace and happy. But when clutter takes over, it can steal that sense of comfort and joy. Think about Linda. She used to love sitting in her favorite armchair by the window, sipping tea and watching the birds outside. But as clutter built up around the chair, piles of old newspapers, bags of things she planned to donate, and random household items, it became harder to reach her cozy spot. She found herself sitting there less and less, until one day she realized she hadn't enjoyed that space in months. Or consider Ed and Marie. They always dreamed of having a relaxing living room where they could read and listen to music, but their space had become filled with unused furniture, outdated decorations, and boxes of things they might need someday. Instead of feeling relaxed, they felt weighed down by the clutter. It wasn't until they started letting go of things that they finally felt at ease in their own home again. If you look around and feel more stress than comfort, it's a sign that your home isn't serving you the way it should. Your space should bring you peace, not anxiety. Decluttering isn't about making your home empty. It's about making it yours again. Reclaim the cozy corners, clear the spaces that bring you joy, and create an environment that supports the life you want to live. Conclusion. So there you have it. 15 signs that it's time to declutter your home as a senior. If any of these points resonated with you, don't feel overwhelmed. The goal isn't to get rid of everything overnight. It's about taking small steps to create a space that feels lighter, safer, and more peaceful. Remember, decluttering isn't about losing things. It's about gaining back your space, your energy, and your enjoyment of your home. You've worked hard to build a life full of meaningful memories, and now it's time to make sure your home truly reflects the life you want to live today. And hey, if you're feeling stuck, start small. One drawer, one shelf, one box. Every little bit counts. And if you've already started decluttering, let me know in the comments, what's the hardest thing for you to let go of? I'd love to hear your thoughts, and maybe even offer some encouragement. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. I've got plenty more tips, inspiration, and encouragement to help you create a home you truly love. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, take care and happy decluttering!